One Heart salutes Pat McGrath, Creative Design Director, P&G Beauty.
Welcome back to One Heart Live. We're bringing you the best of Caribbean-inspired conversation. And the conversation's been great, hasn't it? Yeah. And we haven't even started yet, ladies. I'm Angie Greaves, and you're tuned into our Power Edition, where we're turning the spotlight onto women of power, influence, leadership. Now, if it wasn't enough for us to have Sherry Ann Dixon and Eryca Freemantle joining us in the hot seat now, we've got a very special lady who has just flown in from the Big Apple.
I have.
One of my favourite places.
It's a good place.
I love it there. And we're going to be talking about the glass ceiling. Yeah. And it's a commonly known metaphor, and it's one that's always up for debate. But do you think that it's a barrier that hinders advancement? Do you think it's a case of women trying to crawl up the leadership ladder, the corporate ladder, and not getting there? I mean, surely the idea of a single barrier blocking female advancement, surely that's outdated.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think depending on your class, depending on your race, I think you've got a number of ceilings, and I don't actually think they're made of glass. I think sometimes they're made of concrete or indestructible fabric, but our resilience seems that we're breaking through in a number of ways.
But we've got these wonderful women here. We've also got the ladies in the green room. You know, is the glass ceiling really there? Is it something that's there? Is it something that we're imagining? Is it, you know, is it really there? Some people say there's no age, there's no race, there's no ceiling, only what you put there. Eryca?
I believe it's there if you want it to be. I'm a great believer there isn't anything that one person can't do, but it's who you surround yourself with. I'm a great believer in surrounding myself with decision makers. And once you surround yourself with decision makers, then you're 80% there, as far as I'm concerned.
Simone, sorry, very, very rude of me. Let me come to you, Simone.
Yeah.
You're London-based. You're London-born.
Yeah, London-born.
You're based in New York.
Yeah, working on a few projects out there at the moment.
Right, and you're an entrepreneur. But your main aim is to empower women.
Women and girls of colour, globally,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Don't do anything small. So basically, ImPOSSIBLE is all about finding role models that are women and girls of colour and telling their stories, allowing people to see that success equals women of colour as well, and just widening what we think success can be.
I'm going to get a bit more from you, Simone. I want you to hold that there. I want to hear all about it, but we're just going to take a very quick look at this lovely piece of film from ImPOSSIBLE.
I started ImPOSSIBLE because I wanted to rebalance the negative rhetoric around women of colour. I kept seeing images, media stories that I couldn't align with, nor could my peers. We didn't understand why we were constantly being shown in such a negative light. So I'm using my PR skills, I'm using my contacts, I'm using my passion to show women of colour in a much more realistic, balanced and positive light.
Take a chance.
The work there of the wonderful Simone Bresi-Ando. That is a fantastic name. Just that name alone means power.
Thank you.
You know, you're not just Simone, one syllable. Simone Bresi-Ando. That is power. I'd run from you just because of that name. I love the title of your organisation. I'm Possible, not impossible.
No,
I'm possible. Where did that come from? How did you?
A number of things, actually. A friend in New York had an amazing chain on, which on the first look you thought said impossible, but on a closer look it actually had a tiny little apostrophe in, and just the way it changed the whole energy around what she was wearing, what she was saying, it was amazing. And then I had a number of dreams, and people were sending me things, and so I knew I wanted to empower women and girls of colour, and I thought, I think this is the title. And imPOSSIBLE is all about putting the action in you. You know, it's you're ever moving, you're ever growing and ever defining.
I'm going to ask you very, very quickly before we talk to our younger ladies, because you're talking about empowering women and girls. Right. We're women. The girls are so we're talking at the moment. Why have you gone to the US to do this project?
Yes.
I want to hear it from you.
Okay, so basically, imPOSSIBLE started in 2009. It started after I visited the Black Girls Rock Awards in 2009, and I was blown away. Beverly Bond, another amazing woman. Blown away, and I thought, well, there's these stories outside of the US, and, you know, whenever we talk about women of colour, we think automatically African-American. So I wanted to think about, okay, what else could this be? And so I thought, I'm coming home and I'm going to do this. And so it's 5 years next year that I've been doing the events.
Amazing.
And I think big. So I was like, right, I'm going over to the States to see what I can do
There is an energy there, but we'll talk about that at another time. It's everywhere, but there's something about
Big time, big
an
time.
energy there.
People mobilise
We'll
themselves.
definitely pick that up. Definitely pick that up. Young ladies in the green room, are you listening to the debate? We want to know what your thoughts are. Jade.
We're still here, Angie. Yeah, amazing. The debate that you guys are having is amazing, by the way. Big up Simone as well. Impossible. Love that. Really love that. We've left out Hanaa a little bit. So, Hanaa, I want to ask you, being a singer-songwriter, what does it take to be a powerful woman to you?
To be a powerful woman, you've got to be ready to work your bum off. And you can't, something I've lived off is not taking no for an answer. And that's not just as a woman, but as anyone. I mean, if you're passionate about something, then no doesn't even come into it. And Eryca was saying earlier, actually, on the sofa, you need to respect yourself as a woman as well, because if you don't respect yourself, no one else is going to respect yourself. And especially being in this kind of industry as well, you need to focus. You need to focus.
What do you think about the thing that Angie was saying about being confident, but also being confident about being a woman? You know, you don't always have to be really too feisty. You don't have to be too in your face. What do you think?
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with being feisty. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But yeah, as women, we should be proud and we should chant that we're women. We should be really proud about it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with being feisty at all. Embrace your femininity, but also, yeah, be feisty.
Yeah, I think so as well. Definitely. I thought that the discussion about having a strong, powerful woman beside a powerful man is quite cool. Quite a cool thing. I don't know. I've been single for about 100 years, so. Anyway, on that note, Angie, where you at, girl?
I like the way she said, "Oh, that's quite cool." And she was hesitating a little bit. Get married and have some children, you'll find out. So look, we've heard from women in the green room. Thank you, Jade. But before we hear from the women on the hot seat, can we take it to the streets again? Let's see what they're saying on the streets.
Even if you look at stereotypically feminine industries like fashion or even cooking, a lot of them are dominated by men. So I definitely think there's a glass ceiling.
I definitely think so. I think the political climate and the racial climate in the US, I don't know how similar or how different it is compared to the UK, but I definitely think that, colorism obviously exists within Hollywood as well. You see a lot of lighter skinned women maybe getting a role compared to darker skinned black women.
There are a lot of women that do very well in terms of broadcast media. They're in people's living rooms every morning, and so they make their names for themselves that way. And some very successful and high profile people have moved between various channels.
And we need a lot more women from Afro-Caribbean backgrounds who need to come into the media as well.
Women like Viola Davis and Kerry Washington and Gabrielle Union that have worked so hard are finally getting the recognition that they deserve.
I think in the UK the balance is getting better. I wouldn't say it's where it should be.
And it's really frustrating because it's why is it that way? But I guess it's really about sort of putting people in a position of power that can make a change and changing rules and stuff and not allowing these things to sort of slide under the rug and just slide past you.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that, yeah. So that's what they're saying on the street. Simone, I want to ask you if you think the idea of the glass ceiling is outdated.
No, I think it's there, and I think it's actually progressed, unfortunately. I think there's many ceilings we're dealing with. I think women who don't earn as much have a certain ceiling put on them, as well as being a woman. I think if you're a woman of colour, you have another ceiling put on you. It's intersectionality. It's all these different identities we have that sometimes collide and conflict. And I think that the glass ceiling, or at least the narrative of the glass ceiling, seems to be a single one, because those are the kinds of women who have the loudest voice, but they're not actually speaking for everyone.
So let me ask you, is the glass ceiling in America higher? Is it lower? Is it fair? Because obviously you've done something that, from your heart that you could have done here. And you're doing it here, but For some reason, it's taking you to the States. So is the glass ceiling higher in the States?
I think they're willing to have more conversations about race and class in ways that Britain isn't. I think they're more used to having those conversations,
right.
And it being frank. And I think with certain issues like that, frankness and directness is the only way to attack those things.
So let me ask you, Eryca, do you tiptoe about being frank? Because you spend a lot of time in Nigeria, don't you?
My footprint is in Nigeria.
Your footprint is in Nigeria. I like that one.
And my footprint is in London. And the reason why I've mentioned London is I have felt very alone in the beauty industry as a makeup artist. So what I've done is I've had to rebrand myself. So I'm now the industry expert training mainstream to understand the psychology of the black woman.
Whoa.
And no one else, unless you're a black woman, you know, can do that.
You can't grasp it, yeah?
No, they can't grasp it. So I've had to rebrand and re-strategize. In Nigeria, I love it. Africa in a whole, but Nigeria is my favourite place in the world. It has the New York energy. It's crazy. Only the strongest will survive. However, it really isn't about your colour. It really isn't about your hair. It's about your skill set. It's what you can bring to the table. So for me, the world is a very small place. You just keep it moving.
I'm hearing you, and I'm coming to you in a minute, Sherry, but I thought African culture was quite patriarchal.
It can be, but, you know, you've got to be open-minded. People travel, people interact. It's not as closed as people think they are. I am Jamaican British in Nigeria, leaving my mark. And I've been embraced, the doors have been open, and as I said, it's one of my favourite places in the world. But that's because I'm open-minded.
Right.
So you have to be...
Sherry, you've reinvented yourself a number of times. So I'm going to ask you about the glass ceiling. Did you hit a ceiling and go, do you know what? I'm going to move here and I'm going to go up in another area? Because you've done quite a number of different jobs,
I started off in PR.
Yeah.
And that's when I realised that there was only so far I could go, because at that time there wasn't many black women who were rising above a certain level. And I went searching for a job and couldn't get it. And I created one. I created one because I said, I can do this. I know what I know. I branded me. I am my brand.
Yeah.
So basically I went out and coming from background beauty, I decided that I was going to stand up for the woman of colour.
Right.
And basically targeted the Observer, the Times, basically mainstream media, because they just wasn't getting it right. And then I went on Lorraine Kelly's show and Trevor McDonald's show and told them all, well, we're not all wanting to use bleaching creams. Hello, I was born like this, you know. So basically, it's first of all having the confidence, and then understanding your subject matter, so that when you speak, you can speak with volume.
Yes.
And you could say, no, you got that wrong. 75% of black people are very happy with who they are.
Yes.
10% are just not well, and the others basically are using it because they have marks on their skin and they started to use it that way.
I'm
So get
also
it
going
right.
to ask you one other thing, and I don't want you to be offended, and I want you to say it as it is.
Yeah.
Because as a woman of a certain age, you have just gone through the ceiling. No, as far as I'm concerned. Because that's what I'm saying to you. I've seen you do many, many jobs.
Yeah.
So I've seen you, for want of a better way of putting it, hit a glass ceiling, naturally,
Move it.
moved on, hit another one because you burnt out.
Go around.
Women of a certain age, they don't
They give up.
Well,
No, they do.
No,
They
no,
give
I
up.
I don't like the term giving up.
Well,
maybe
maybe
they slow down.
I think
maybe
they give up.
they slow down.
I think they give up.
Why do they give up?
Well, I'm that age,
Isn't
so
that
I
then
can start.
reducing power?
No, they give up because they think there is no more latitude, that they can't see that ceiling. It becomes invisible to them. I say I don't have a ceiling, so how can I touch it?
So as far as you're concerned, it might be there in whoever's eyes, but it ain't there in your eyes. Okay.
And I keep moving the goalposts.
Yes.
I have 3 kids, not had, because once you learn something, it never goes away.
Tell me about it. Eryca, Nigeria.
Yes.
I know we've touched on this before. Have you found you've had to reinvent yourself in different ways as a Jamaican woman in Nigeria?
No. Bob Marley has done me proud. You know, he's opened the doors for us Jamaicans in Nigeria. What I found for me in Nigeria, being a black woman and a woman knowledgeable in her industry, And Nigeria been a little bit behind in the education as far as makeup is concerned. When I say, I don't mean backwards and going forward, I just mean in qualification and certification, because some of them are, you know, 10 years ahead of us. But what I find is that Nigeria, the Nigerians are very open, the women are very open, they just embrace you, they want the knowledge, they're like sponges. So for me going in with my knowledge, my mainstream background as well, it just opens doors. And the fact that I am Jamaican, I have never been more proud to be a Jamaican in Nigeria.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Yeah. But we were talking earlier about where different Africans went to different islands, and I did always say, you know, I've always said it, Nigerians and Jamaicans. You're nodding. But that's a whole new show. That is a whole new show. You're watching One Heart TV. I'm Angie Greaves, and we shall be back straight after these.
One Heart salutes Mallory Blackman, Children's Laureate.